just in time. You know what just in time is? Yes. I ordered from some place that's going to get to me tomorrow morning. Or if I really want to pay for it, it will be hand delivered to me today. Really? Really. But when I was first started out, I worked in a warehouse for the Ben Franklin stores, in a big warehouse. And we would order by the pallet. Okay? Let's say a gross. And hopefully our, quote, stores would not order a gross of anything. I think they had a problem with communication. Instead of 12 each, they would get a gross. Big problem for storage. And one day I got an order in my hand. It says, they want 12 of this? Really? There's 12 in a box, and they want 12 boxes. And they were big boxes, okay? And I questioned that. They called them down and says, do you know what you're getting? Yeah, it's going to fill up your thing. Well, we sent one box. And what happens to the other one? Those goes in the sale plan for the next time. But I worked for another company, for a food company. I was in the lab. I was handling ethyl ether. And ethyl ether at that time, I could go in Chicagoland and get a case of it, 4 bottles in a case. But I couldn't do that. They had to order from a minority house, chemical house in Tennessee. And it has to be shipped from Tennessee up here. Wait a minute. Why? We have to order from the minority house. So, when the truck didn't arrive on time, I sat there and twiddled my thumbs, waiting for it. And I told them, I need the chemicals. Oh, you can't do anything about it. How about if the chemical house in Tennessee orders it from Fisher Lab, which is 10 miles away? Instead of the stuff being shipped down there, they order from there and have it shipped to us. Haven't you ever done that before? Have them in Tennessee order it from Fisher Labs down there instead of going down and have it shipped to us. Very simple. Right. And then that's how it started to get happening. Yeah, it's like, okay. Well, we have to order from all. We have to get everything from minority house. Oh, yes. Even though the minority house is 500 miles away. Didn't really make much sense. Well, all our paper goods have to go from there. Wait a minute, but we can get it from there. Why do we have to go down there and get it? Why don't they order it from there and then they have it shipped to us? Oh, well, we don't work that way. Well, when it turns out to be the purchaser, the buyer, was getting a few cents back. He got some beautiful presents. And of course, somebody started questioning how things were happening. And he's saying, oh, yes! Then why are we doing it that way? Just in time. But that's just in time. Okay, let's go back to the pandemic. Okay. Just in time for the U.S. Navy. They couldn't get their parts. You got an aircraft carrier sitting in the Pacific that's basically anchored because they need a part and they can't get it. Well, it's anchored in Guam. Okay. They need a part. They can't get it. Because of pandemic. Stop that. So somebody in the Department of Defense decided that, can we make it in a 3D printer? And I don't mean that printer that fits in my lap. I mean a big printer. Can we make that in a 3D printer? Uh-huh. Yes, but the 3D printer is sitting out of Norfolk. I said, well, why isn't there one on Guam? Why don't we have one out here? Well, you know how much that would cost? I'm waiting for a part. That's an aircraft carrier. It needs a part. Why don't we just make it here? So somebody purchased that. They purchased the metals. They purchased the instruction. They purchased the computer software. And they started making it in Guam. They went one step further on an aircraft carrier. There's a 3D printer sitting over in the corner. And any part they need for that ship, they make it there. Because just in time really didn't work during the pandemic. Because either the manufacturer couldn't produce it, or they couldn't get the delivery trucks to do it, or the whole tied in with everything else as everybody's wearing a mask. And now on all aircraft carriers, okay, is a 3D printer to doing a lot of the work that is. On naval bases, you've got a big 3D printer doing big stuff. And you're talking industrial stuff? Yes. Molding? Yes. Well, we have to get this from the manufacturer to do this. And he has to put a cast mold on this. And cast mold? Yes. Cast mold. Not with a 3D printer, you don't. Think about it. 3D printer, you're no longer casting this stuff. You're using a 3D printer. And hopefully it's withstands, and they can withstand the strength that it has to be for what it has to do. And then you just simply go get a cast mold. But again, just in time, you can't have, why can't I have 6 of these here? Oh, we can't do that. We have to do it just in time. Oh, what happens if that just in time has to be in a foreign country? So what if just in time has to be in Japan? They make it in Japan. They shipped it to Northport, United States, and Northport ships it to Guam. Really? Yes. And how is that shipped? Is it shipped by ship? Or is it shipped by plane? Well, it costs more money if you shipped it by plane. So instead of being shipped from Japan to Guam, it's shipped to Northport, and they have to come back and ship it to us. Yes. So instead of having a $300 part from Japan to Guam, it's now costing $1,000 part to have it shipped there and come over here. Why, yes, that's the way it's worked. That's the Navy for you. And as soon as they got the 3D printer and they could produce them themselves, they cut the cost. And they found out they could cut the cost on a lot of stuff. Just in time is now sitting in a computer on the ship, and they're going to punch it out. And if you ever seen 3D printer parts, they can be little itty bitty integrated parts, or they can be this thing that fills up the room here that I'm in, as long as your car. And that all can be done on board. And it's very simple. You put in the program, you put all the materials in there, and every hour you come back and look to see how it's going. And it could be running for 24 hours on ship. No one really sleeps on, and comes back and it's done, and you pull the part out, and whippy, you just saved yourself a lot of money. But that's just in time. And who else is using just in time? Tesla. Yeah, you can find just in time. You find 3D printers in most of the companies just in time, because casting is casting. Hot liquid, hot bronze, hot steel, hot this. Just in time, you put it in and away you go. Yeah, the pandemic was awful, but it changed how the industry works. Now works. Oh well. That's my just-in-time